I still remember back in the days when I went to university and I was working on my final bachelor thesis, I wanted it to be perfect. I wasn't leaving any book that could be helpful untouched, and I didn't want to miss out on any article about the topic in the internet. I was spending around 20 hours searching for more information, and in the end I didn't add much to my thesis. Even though I've got the best grade for my thesis and I was very happy about it, afterwards I had a feeling that I spent way too much time searching for new information and changing things that were actually already fine. I just wanted to have it perfect, that's why I was investing more and more hours, even though the quality of my work probably didn't change. I just tend to make things so unnecessarily complicated for myself. One of the biggest problems is that I'm a perfectionist. I mean, there's a lot of richness in the details and the details make the difference. But you can work on a project endlessly. You can always change or improve things. It just never ends. You just have to know when it's good enough. Being a perfectionist can be very suffocating and exhausting. If you would know how many takes it takes for me to film this, you would think this guy's crazy. It's just mind-blowing. I mean, does perfection even exist? You might label something as perfect and then another person sees the same work and thinks the opposite. Or you create something and think it is not good enough, then you show it to another person and he or she loves it. So here's the thing, we all usually want to live our quality, and the pursuit of quality in its nature is a good thing. But somewhere you have to draw a line. There shouldn't be an obsession over quality, because once you get obsessed, you won't be able to enjoy the process anymore. If you're doubting all the time if what you do is good enough, you will enter a state of suffering. It seems like there is no space for peace when perfectionism is a priority. If you constantly overthink how to do things to make them perfect, like myself, this is going to affect your mental health, and it will definitely take you away from the present moment. If you keep trying to improve the same art again and again, eventually your mind will drive you crazy. And as a result, you get overwhelmed and you won't even start your project, and that's actually the worst thing that can happen. But I mean, there is no perfect step and there are no perfect circumstances. We all have to start somewhere. And don't get me wrong, being a perfectionist is a very respectable characteristic. Actually, in society, many people relate their term to a specific quality a person stands for. It's good to have high standards for your work and for yourself. But maybe if a perfectionist wouldn't be so focused on changing every minor detail, he would improve a lot and as a consequence be better much faster. Because in the end of the day, what you really want is to be productive and make progress. There's this great example from the book Art and Fear, where a university professor divides his photography students into two groups. One group has the task to take as many pictures as possible until the end of the semester, and they would be graded solely on the amount of work they produced. The higher the amount, the better the grade. The other group would be graded only on the excellence of their work. Their task was to produce only one picture and make it as perfect as possible. The better the picture, the higher the grade. At the end of the semester, the group who was working on the quantity delivered better photos than the group that was only working on one photo. What does this teach us? I'm one of the person who likes to say quality over quantity, and in many areas of life this is absolutely true. But to get better at the craft, you need the quantity to get to the quality. There is no other way. You have to put the reps in. The more you practice, the better your quality will be. The hard part is to know when it's good enough, and that just takes a long time. There is no shortcut. You need to do a lot of shitty work until you get good enough. If you have the same problem and consider yourself a perfectionist, there's time to take another approach. So the question is, what can we do to not allow perfectionism destroy our productivity and progress? Start with repetitions, not goals. Whenever you put in a lot of consistent work and learn from your mistakes, incredible progress is usually the result. It's not a quest to achieve one perfect goal that makes you better. It's the skills you develop by doing a high volume of work. In other words, when you think about your goals, don't focus on the outcome you want. Focus on the repetition that lead to that place. Focus on the piles of work that come before the success. For example, imagine a potter who wants to do the perfect pot. He still has to do hundreds of ceramic pots first to get to that masterpiece. Second, get comfortable with good enough. Be willing to be imperfect and expect imperfections. Get critical about your work and try to identify the vital few. Like the Pareto principle indicates, often there's only 20% of our effort that is responsible for an 80% of our results. Don't spend too much time to fix things that actually don't matter. Just because your end result is a little bit flawed doesn't mean that your whole work is bad. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, you just need them to get better. Perfectionists who are not willing to make mistakes they don't get that feedback that's necessary for your growth and improvement. There's this entrepreneurial saying, it's better to launch and learn than to learn and launch. Set realistic expectations for yourself. Don't set the bar too high. By doing this, you can get overwhelmed and you might not even start the project because you think it's not even worth trying. It's okay if you don't have the skills yet to make it the way you want. Just focus on one step at a time and eventually you'll get there. Finally, it's very important that you set deadlines. We all know this feeling when we're working on a project and we have no deadline or the deadline is far away. If you don't have a professor, an institution or a client setting a deadline for you, you have to set a deadline for yourself. Because if not, you get stuck working on a project and you are never going to finish it. I hope this video was helpful, or at least it made you think. Just don't take yourself too seriously. I know it's hard, but we really don't do ourselves a favor to be extreme perfectionists. If you don't want to miss out on any future videos or want to leave me a comment or like this video in case you've liked it, please do so, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.